Just got back from a pretty tough interval session. Now I'm gonna answer your questions from Instagram and YouTube. So a lot of questions have already been answered in the video, but I'm gonna pick out a couple that are interesting. Do you prefer the Aero or the Ultimate as an all-round bike? What's up guys? What's up cycling fanatics? Thanks for joining in with another video. I just published my Canyon Aeroad SLX review video in which I answer a lot of your questions and I talk about pretty much every aspect of this bike, all the upgrades, all the issues I had in the last 5 years. I've ridden it for 35,000 kilometers. A few questions are left unanswered and I'm gonna answer them now. So here we go. If you want to jump into any questions straight away, check out the description because I have the time codes in there. Well, if you're really looking for an all-round bike, I think the Ultimate would be better because with a set of deep section wheels, it's very aero still. And when you're looking for all-round, it needs to be very good in the mountains. So maybe the Ultimate. How much does the bike weigh? I don't know, I've never checked, but I'm going to weigh it. And I'm gonna put the weight right here in the video. Why do you have mechanical shifting? I just couldn't really justify paying an extra 1,000 euros for Di2 when I didn't even was using the bike for races at that time when I bought it. So I thought it was too expensive. Would you buy a disc version instead of rim brakes? No, I would not buy a disc version myself now to replace this bike just for the disc brakes. If I would buy a new bike, I would probably will go for disc brakes. How powerful is the motor? Motor's pretty powerful, man. It's got 2 big legs. What happened to the previous frame? Shipped back to Canyon and I kept it. So yeah. What's your opinion on the service of Canyon and how long does it take when something breaks and like to fix it, and is the price okay? Well, their service, the offer of their service is pretty good, like I showed in this video, but it can take a long time. I waited about 3 months for the seat post. The frame came in pretty quick. It depends on your country. In the Netherlands there's a service center. It's not like that everywhere, so it depends. I am a 14-year-old amateur. I'm 40 kilos who loves Aero, but I'm a climber. Should I buy it? No, don't buy this bike. How many road bikes do you have? Well, I have this one and the Fuji that you've seen in the transformation video, which I recently took back to the Netherlands. It was always living in the United States. And then I have the old Giant, which I transformed to a pink bike for my girlfriend. Happy birthday! Dolph. Nikai wants to know, how do you keep the matte finish nice? I struggle with my Aero. Dude, I have the same. It's really difficult to really keep it nice and spot free. I don't know how to do it. I use this spray, but it doesn't really work. All the cleaning stuff from the chain degreaser and stuff, it's all on the frame. Looks ugly. How does it compare to your Fuji or any other bike you ride on a regular basis? So I think the Aero and the Fuji are very similar. Maybe that's also the reason why I could jump back and forth on these 2 bikes so easily. So yeah, they're pretty much the same. Is it fast? Yeah man, it's really fast. How many chains did you wear and how many kilometers have you ridden? Well, about 35,000, and about every 3k I changed the chain, so that's like 11 probably. I didn't keep count, but it's probably about that. What is the biggest tire that fits in the frame? I think it's 28. So now I'm going into the YouTube questions. This is interesting. How many scratches have you got on the frame in the tight bit where the rear wheel is? Well, actually before I switched to the new frame, I took some shots of all the parts that were like scratched and damaged. So here we go. Is the saddle still dropping? Luckily not. It's finally resolved. Is the advantage of the Aero noticeable at conservative speeds like 35 to 40 kilometers an hour? Well, I think that's when it starts. Like if you do 35 to 40k an hour, that's really when the Aero starts to make a difference. How's the stiffness compared to non-Aero bikes you've had experience with? I mentioned this in the climbing section of the video. So the Aero is less stiff on the climbs and also less stiff in the rear end when you go over bumps. So yeah, it's less stiff, but it's still pretty good for climbing, and for sprinting somehow it does really work well. Is the frame stronger or more robust than the Ultimate or Endurance? I think it's all pretty much the same when it comes to how strong or how robust it is. Any problems with the bottom bracket and headset bearings? I need to replace both at 20k on my Ultimate. I think that's pretty normal. 20,000 kilometers on bottom bracket is pretty good. So I replaced mine after 15,000. So when I did the overhaul at the service center. Of course, it depends on what kind of conditions you ride as well, how hard you're riding, and it also depends on the quality of the bottom bracket. If you replace this by a very expensive bottom bracket, it might last you a little longer, but it's more expensive. Have you changed the headset bearings? Yes, when I was in the service center. Have you tried fitting gravel tires? No. I've been up to 25, that's it. About the sizing, do we need to follow the Canyon bike fit calculator? Well, I sort of did my own sizing. I always look at the stack and the reach values. I think those are the most important. And I wrote to Canyon, I was like in the middle, and they said, well, maybe you should try an extra large. I went for the large. I'm very happy I went for the large. I've been on an extra large and they just feel way too big. It feels like freaking, it's better to go a little smaller in my opinion, because you can put a longer stem to increase the size of the bike. But if your frame is too big, you can never make it smaller because the stem is all the way down, and if you go for a very short stem, it's gonna make the geometry a bit weird. So stay on the smaller end. If you were to go for an Aero bike now, would you buy this bike or something else like the Venge, the System 6, the Madone S5 or something other? I've been on the System 6, I've not been on the Madone, but I might be soon. I've done one short ride on the Venge. They're all pretty cool. For example, the Venge was freaking awesome, and I'm pretty sure the Madone is gonna be super cool as well. System 6 was kind of heavy, but it is fast, so yeah, I'm not sure. I like the looks of this bike. Can you wheelie it? I can. Easier uphill. More important, can it tow a baby carriage for the kids? This bike doesn't really fit the mounting system of the Thule Chariot, so I only ride the Thule Chariot with the babies on the Fuji. How does it perform on a 7% incline compared to a climbing bike? I think about 6 or 7% is going to be the turning point when a climbing bike is going to be faster than a aero bike because of the speeds, and when it gets steeper you go slower, and then that's when the climbing bike really is going to make you better. Would you choose the Aero over the Ultimate? Well, I did, because I bought the Aero because flat country. What year is the Aero? They still have not released the 2020 model. Well, this one is 2016, but the Aero has remained the same for the last 5 years. They're going to launch a new bike sometime this year, probably, which they don't want to tell me anything about, so I don't know. If you would buy a new Aero, which one would you buy? I would really like to have electronic shifting, Di2 or SRAM, because I would like to have a sprinter button. So when I start sprinting, I can just press the button and shift up in gears. That would be super amazing. Maybe the only reason I would buy Di2, but I have been on Di2 bikes and it does shift really nice. So I would probably want to have Di2. Will it help you pick up any girls? I don't know, my girlfriend didn't really like bicycles, so it could have been a freaking golden bike, she wouldn't notice. Do you think black bar tape is better than white and black? My buddy told me this unwritten rule about bar tape and saddle color, which should be the same. I don't really care about all these unwritten rules. It's your bike, you should do whatever you want. If you want white bar tape and a black seat, who cares? A couple other questions which are similar, but this one is nice. How many watts do you need on this bike to go 40 kilometers an hour in a perfect setup without wind? Depends on a lot of factors. Skin suit? What's the road condition? Flat tarmac or bumpy cobbles? Let me give you an estimate, probably about 320 watts. I'm doing some training sessions right now, which are like 3 to 4 hours, averaging about 270, 280 watts, and I'm doing 36 kilometers an hour average. It's gonna be about 300 to 320 watts, probably. Any more questions, you can leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching. As always, I'm gonna see you next time. See ya!